My name's Leoni, and on Christmas Eve 2023, I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, Rogue. My pregnancy with Rogue wasn't all smooth sailing, and I think a big reason I managed to get through it is because of my mum, who's a midwife, and my boyfriend, Jacob, who was the most amazing support. With Rogue, pregnancy really made my asthma flare up, and I was also really anemic. So I was in and out of hospital a couple of times, having nebulizers, a blood transfusion, and iron infusions. So because of this reason, it was decided I was going to have an induction at 39 weeks. A week before my scheduled induction on the 22nd of December, I had a routine community midwife appointment booked for a sweep. When I got to that appointment and I was doing my urine sample, I noticed a pink discharge. So, of course, the first thing I did was text a picture to my mum. My mum thought my waters might have gone, and my community midwife agreed. So, she shipped me off to St Mary's Triage, where they swabbed me and said that my waters hadn't gone, but my cervix was bleeding. So, they were going to start my induction now rather than waiting a week. Of course, the hospital was rammed, so me and Jacob had a bit of time to go home, have our last meal together as a family of two, pack the last bits in my hospital bag, and then head back to St Mary's. At about 6 a.m. on the 23rd, I was put in a room and I had my induction started. So because of my asthma, I couldn't have any hormonal method of induction, could only have the balloon, and the balloon was fitted at 6 a.m. At this point, Jacob had been up for God knows how many hours, so I sent him home to get some sleep. He couldn't sleep and he ended up building the next to me cot ready for baby to arrive and hoovered the entire flat. And I was writhing in pain with my balloon. I was really struggling. I found it really, really painful, so I asked them to remove some of the water. They did warn me that it might not dilate me as well as it should because obviously I didn't have the full amount in there. But I was willing to take that risk. I was not doing very well. Managed to get some sleep. And at 6 p.m. on the 23rd, they removed the balloon, and I luckily had dilated to 3 centimeters. So I was ready to have my waters broke. We were just waiting for a bed on labour ward to become available. So while we were waiting, me and Jacob did a couple of laps to the hospital. We made sure that we were definite in our baby name decision. And we just talked about how excited we were. We couldn't believe that the countdown had now had hours left and we were going to meet our baby girl soon. We were just over the moon, so excited. And at about 3 a.m. on the 24th, the bed was available, so we moved over to labour ward. And I had the wonderful Eleanor looking after me. She was like a second mum. She broke my waters, and I can't remember how quickly I was put on the oxytocin drip. I assume it was straight away, but I remember as soon as I was put on that drip, contractions started amping up. And again, I don't have a high pain tolerance at all. Gas and air made me really sick, so I preferred not to use it. But Eleanor was there and Jacob was there, and they were both the most amazing support. My mum was on a shift working at St Mary's. She didn't finish till 8:30 a.m., but she kept popping in and out to make sure I was in safe hands with Eleanor, and of course I was. And then when my mum finished, she came and she held my hand and she stroked my hair. And then I knew I wanted an epidural, but I wasn't sure what point I was going to ask for it. It was offered to me and I declined, and I think half an hour later I was like, no, I want the epidural. I think I was about 6 centimeters when I had the epidural. And as soon as that was done, I was absolutely fine. I had a little nap. I was great, cracking jokes, complete contrast to what I was like before. My mum had a nap in the chair next to me, next to Jacob. And then at about 5:30, I was examined and I was 10 centimeters. We texted my sister and my mother-in-law, Jacob's mum, Nicole, who came down and were with me. My sister Fallon was there. It was just amazing to have them all there in the room with me. And at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, I started pushing. My mum was guiding me. My mum was guiding me through pushing because obviously I couldn't feel when I was having a contraction. So she'd tell me, and just having that experience with my mum on one side of me guiding me through the most monumental milestone of my life today, and Jacob on the other side was just what I dreamed of for so long. And when I talk about it, I get so ridiculously emotional because it was just something that I know I'm extremely lucky to have experienced. After about half an hour of pushing, my mum told me that Rogue was in a bit of distress and her heart rate wasn't very happy. So she was going to press the buzzer and a lot of people were going to come rushing in. And they did. And when I tell this story to people, they say, "Oh, that must have been so scary." And it wasn't. I felt in such safe hands with my mum. I wasn't worried at all. The amazing doctor, Florina, came in and she explained to me what was going to happen, that Rogue wasn't very happy and we needed to get her out quicker. So I had forceps and an episiotomy. And still to this day, Jacob says that was the worst bit for him, bless him. The sound of me having my episiotomy sounded like cutting through cardboard, which is a lovely mental image to have. Rogue's head was out after Rogue's head was out with the forceps. Felina said, "Do you want to have a look?" So I looked down and just this giant-eyed baby blinking back at me, looking just like her dad. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that she was there and she was looking at me and I was looking at her. And then one big push, and Rogue was born at 6:42 on Christmas Eve. The most amazing little bundle of joy. And my sister was there. My sister was in tears. Nicole was in tears. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. And I told my sister Fallon what Rogue's full name was, and her full name was Rogue Fallon McKenna Tomlinson. And of course, the waterworks carried on. But I think about this experience constantly. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about the day I became a mum and the day I